What do you get when you combine a dyslexic, an agnostic, and an insomniac? Someone who lies awake all night pondering the existence of dog. What if you also include a Muslim in the mix? Then you get someone who lies awake all night pondering the existence of holla. What? A very common practice among theists is called arguing from the gaps, whereby one points to an unexplained phenomenon and insists that the lack of alternative explanations proves that God must have done it, therefore God must exist. There are a number of problems with this. For one, every single phenomenon for which science now has an explanation was once attributed to the supernatural. Why does the wind blow? Why do objects tend to fall to the ground? Why does the sun rise and set? Why do the seasons change? These are all questions once explained by the hand of a god, or gods, or spirits, but for which today we have completely naturalistic scientific explanations. Explanations we were able to find by following a process which entailed recognizing that the gods did it is not an explanation. If we had persisted in contenting ourselves with this, we would never have found the actual reasons behind any of these phenomena. When you say God did it, you have explained absolutely nothing. For another, if anything supernatural exists, it is a fact of the cosmos, while the only thing limits in human knowledge prove is that we are finite. They prove nothing about the universe. However many humans there are, even if you simultaneously manage to regard absolutely all of us, you will still be regarding the finite, and therefore all the extrapolations you could possibly make would be likewise limited and a far cry from universal or cosmological. For yet another, there is nothing wrong with regarding a gap as a gap. Encountering a gap in one's knowledge no more obligates one to fill it with gods than with gnomes or leprechauns. The average Christian has no trouble recognizing the sophistry of the gnomes did it, but with the change of a single word, suddenly the explanation makes perfect sense to most of them. The criticism is often made that science does not have every answer. This criticism, however, is customarily made in the absence of one simple understanding. Science does not claim to have every answer. Science is not about the hope of one day having all the answers. It's about the opportunity to spend one's existence in search of answers. Every answer leads to more questions, and that's a good thing. Because the moment there are no more questions to ask, there are no more discoveries to be made. Dan Barker was once an evangelical preacher. Today he is one of the most politically active atheists in the United States. He is the president of the Freedom from Religion Foundation, which is the largest and most politically active organization for secular rights in the nation. Once, following his deconversion, he took up an invitation from some religious friends to sit in on an event advertised with the words, "Listen to this music," and "Feel God." He sat through the presentation, and afterward he spoke to his friends, explaining that he had listened to the very same music they had, and experienced the same phenomena. I don't recall his exact choice of words, but due to his background in music, he was able to explain naturalistically. Having virtually no background in music, I can't duplicate the technical jargon, but there is a way in which music can be arranged which has the effect of evoking a trance-like state in the listener. He recognized the effect. That feeling, which was advertised as the feeling of God, was nothing more than a phenomenon of psychology and neurology. Now what if he had not been privy to that particular piece of knowledge? What if no one knew that this particular arrangement of music could have this particular effect? Would this make it anything other than a purely naturalistic phenomenon? No. The only reason anyone was compelled to explain it supernaturally, to attribute it to God, was out of an aversion to the admission of completely human ignorance, an argument from the gaps. Now I am often told by Christians that they have felt God, and so for them it's more than a matter of faith. I know the mentality behind this statement. I know it firsthand from my own days of selective skepticism. What one means by "I have felt God" is I have experienced something I did not understand, which struck me as profound, and have attributed it to God. Being finite equates to having limits to one's understanding. Being imperfect equates to having at least occasional flaws in one's understanding. Every last one of us is inevitably mistaken about something at some point. Being honest means admitting it, and this act of honesty leaves one free to admit it when one does not have a certain answer, which is the first step in finding that answer. There is nothing intrinsically shameful about the words, "I don't know." Indeed, who is the greater fool? The one who does not know, or the one who does not know and denies it? So these questions I am directing mainly to those Christians who insist that they have felt God. First, what does God feel like? Second, how do you know that the feeling in question is God? What is it that makes this feeling any more likely the touch of a god than that of a leprechaun?